season, you came on the show and we had a very, I thought a very good, fun debate about what D'Amico Ryans is going to do this upcoming year. You brought up a great stat saying that there's been no first year defensive
You
coordinator.
remember that, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I remember that a lot. That had a team that finished, I think it was top 16 or top
Top 50,
18.
yeah, top 16, top half
Yeah,
of the. So since 2000, no first year defensive coordinator had ever had a defense finish in the top half of the NFL. So
got you.
16 or
Well,
higher.
things have changed because my guy D'Amico, who I told you was gonna be the one to break this thing, actually ended up. And I think depending on which stat you use and all that kind of stuff, it was somewhere 4 to I think the lowest I saw was like 7 or 8, but definitely top half of the league. So becoming the first guy. So I know it wasn't that you were betting against them. You were just showing that it's a tough thing to do, and obviously the
Right, there was going to be
stats.
a learning curve. I thought there was going to be a
Mm-hmm.
learning curve, and I think there was early on the season. I mean, if you look at how we started off the season, we didn't start off great. The secondary had issues. They really needed to be coached up on technique and everything
Right.
based on the scheme that we were playing. So I think there were some growing pains, but the latter part of the season, the defense became so dominant that it really just boosted up the defensive rankings, and it really saved the 49ers season. I mean, make no mistake about it. It wasn't the offense. It wasn't Jimmy Garoppolo. It was Debo Samuel and the defense is what saved the 49ers season this past year.
For sure. And with a young quarterback at the helm with Trey Lance, his first full year as a starter, that defense is going to be called on even more, I would expect, to be able to maybe bail out a young quarterback that might be making young quarterback mistakes, right? So what can the 49ers do this season to improve their defense this upcoming season?
That's really hard to say because, I think we all agree the 49ers defense was elite at the end of the season. I mean, in my opinion, they were a top 2 to 3 defense in the whole NFL. So there isn't really a lot of room to improve. I would say, I would say their linebackers, they're going to be set this season. They're going to have 2, 3, maybe 3 good linebackers coming back, depending if they get rid of Dre Greenlaw or not. I mean, Al-Shaair was playing at an all-pro level at the beginning of the season until he got injured. The secondary, Ambry Thomas, to me, seemed like he shored up the cornerback position. I would say secondary is still going to be the biggest weakness going into the season. We're going to have to figure out if K'Wan Williams is going to come back, if we're going to need to bring in somebody for that nickel corner spot. Can Diamador Lenore jump in and fill in there? Is he up to that yet? Safety, we might be losing Jaquiski Tart, so we may have to replace him. Is Hufanga good enough to play as a full-time starter? So I'm going to say the secondary shoring that up is probably the biggest area of improvement for the defense this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the easiest place to point is the secondary. I mean, especially the corners. That's always going to be the weakest, I guess, part of the 49ers defense just because they invest so much with their strategy in the defensive line. They obviously have really stud linebackers in the past with Tart and Ward have had some of the most dynamic safeties there as well. So the secondary obviously got the short end of the stick as far as just investment, and so everybody points to them. But I think you're right. I mean, I think Mosley and Thomas are going to be the starters next season, and I think that they're both young, athletic, aggressive type corners
I think
that
they're good starters, yeah.
really, yeah, they're good, especially for what the 49ers ask of their corners to do, which is, be able to press, be able to play zone, but tackle very well in the run game as well. And I think they're able to do those type of things. I think for me, what I'm looking for is uh, to find somebody else that's going to be the partner of Nick Bosa on the edge. Now, whether or not they do that through the draft this season, or if they bring in somebody, or if they just do the whole depth thing that they did this season and just bring back a lot of uh, low end talent, and I'm putting parentheses or
Cast
quotation
offs,
marks.
right? Cast offs.
Yeah, people that maybe haven't other teams have given up on, but are still the athletes that the 49ers like developing, and then have Coach Rick, coach them up to be guys that could be just part of a deadly lineup rotation for the 49ers. I mean, you saw guys like Jordan Willis, Charles Omenihu, even Ebicom play pretty
At the end
good
of the year, yeah.
ball near the end of the year. And, Willis is somebody who obviously had the suspension, the first half of the season last year. So if we could bring him back for a full year, I think he could be, really, really good player, not only for the defense, but in special teams for the 49ers. But there are some question marks, man. I think for me, I'm really looking for this team to maybe let go of some of these older, oft injured players like a K1, maybe even like a Tart. I'm really high on Tart, but I think he's going to want a bigger payday. And he is somebody who, even though he stayed healthy this last season, does miss quite a few games. So I could see them maybe upgrading through the draft with a slot corner and a safety as well, get younger at those positions. And maybe, Low the Truth brings up, maybe re-sign Verrett for a very cheap deal, maybe move him to the slot or something like that.
I mean, I'd be open to Verrett at a cheap deal, but not counting on him to be any kind of starter. I mean, let him go into camp, and if he can beat out whoever else we bring in, we do not need a bank on Jason Verrett again. It's just not, he's not reliable enough.
Right. I mean, I think the only pinpoint thing that I could say, hey, what is something that this defense got eaten alive with that has cost the team games? And the only thing, because there's only a couple of games that I could think of where the defense really couldn't stop the team, and that caused the team to lose. And that was week 3 against Green Bay when Davante Adams went off. And then
that was their whole offense that game, was throw it deep, pass interference.
And then the NFC Championship game, Cooper Kupp obviously ran wild against, the 49ers. So maybe if they could just get that, I mean, hopefully Ambry Thomas or Mosley could turn into the type of players that can, stop a receiver like a Kupp or like a Davante Adams. But it seems like those are the two games that I could think of that was the main reason why the team, lost. So yeah, I guess secondary, would be what would be a good answer as well.
I agree, man.